This is training lesson number 1 for Visual App Builder Pro. This is the integrated development environment for creating Windows PC, Pocket PC, and DOS applications for portable handheld computing devices. Within this environment, you can build the actual applications themselves using object-oriented techniques. There is no actual coding, scripting, or macro language associated with Visual App Builder. Everything is done in a completely visual manner. This integrated development environment also includes simulators for supported devices as well as debugging for those devices. To get started, we'll show you how to create your initial application within the Visual App Builder Pro environment. We'll create a new application, and you'll see that you have project types of DOS for portable handheld devices, Pocket PC, which supports just about every manufacturer's Pocket PC, and Windows for Windows desktop applications. We'll select Pocket PC initially, click OK, and we'll go over some of the elements of the Visual App Builder main window. We'll select a type, either wireless or batch. We'll select wireless in this case and give it a title. The timeout refers to the number of seconds that the application will wait for database responses to come back. And batch backup refers to the ability for a wireless device to store up SQL commands while it is out of range of the RF network. We'll go into that in more advanced topics. Let's go over the tabs quickly that we see on the main Visual App Builder window. The first is for the objects, and this refers to the objects within a procedure. You'll notice that we have our list of procedures here. We have one procedure in our project that's initially created when we create a new project called initialize. This is the entry point for the application itself. When we add objects to our project, you'll notice that we have a drop down within the new object dialog that allows us to select any of the pre-existing object types that are included with Visual App Builder. There is an SDK included with the Visual App Builder Pro installation that allows you to expand upon this list of objects and methods within certain objects included in Visual App Builder, giving you basically unlimited flexibility in the functionality that you can provide both in the designing of the application and the actual runtime of the application as well. We'll create an object type of calculate and miscellaneous. Click OK on that, and if we double click on this object name in our list of objects, we'll jump over to the object method screen. So you'll notice if we double click here, we'll jump over the top tab that says object methods, and it'll give us the editor for this particular type of objects. We can click on the add button, and this will allow us to add methods such as adding numbers. These are part of the calculate methods that are available within this calculate miscellaneous object. And you'll see that there are 40 different objects, methods or so available within this object for time stamping records and getting counts of records in a file and a great deal of other. One of the most common things we do is to copy from one place to another. We'll go into that in just a moment. This is our list of objects, and those are the methods within the objects. Again, we're very object oriented here, and there is no coding. Everything's done visually. Our File tab allows us to define files. All files are defined as being one of the types available in the new file dropdown. This can be most commonly a SQL table or some sort of flat file, although there are several others that we'll go into in advanced topics that are available as well. For our purposes here, we'll pick a fixed length file with the carriage return line feed at the end of it and click OK. Once we double click on this entry under the Files tab, it'll jump us under the File Field tab where we can define the fields, which basically define the record layout for this particular file. You'll notice that all of the data types that are available for files within a field or columns within an SQL table are your standard database types of data types. So in this case, we'll pick text, and we can pick a length, and you can add as many fields as are appropriate for your fixed length table. You can use the tab key to navigate within the any of the dialogues within the Visual App Builder environment. We also have a tab here for variables. Variables are added in the same way as fields to a file, and they are actually referenced the same way within the Visual App Builder project, as we'll get into as we go into more training lessons. The same data types that are available for fields are also available for variables. An important consideration for variables is that they are all global in scope. None of them are local to any particular procedure. So once a variable is defined, it can be accessed from all of the procedures within the project. Some constants are already defined when you first create a new Visual App Builder project. These are basically related to barcode scanning and the ability for one of the DOS portable handheld computers to be able to tell whether an entry was keyed in or scanned. Adding a new constant is basically the same as adding a variable, only in this case we're not really concerned with the type, but just the value of the constant itself. So if we wanted to set up a constant that had a value of 1, this is how we would do that. And then we could reference that constant and copy it into values and do comparison operations with it throughout the scope of the project. The tree view allows us to look at all of the objects within a particular procedure. And so if we come back here to our initial screen, and once we finish with this particular object, if we use our drop-down list to navigate to object number 1 once we first enter into the project, then we'll see that by clicking on the tree view we can see how these objects are connected. And so once you have 20 or 30 or 40 objects within a procedure, you'll be able to see how you navigate between all those projects. And again, in later lessons, as we have more objects within a procedure, this will become a little bit clearer. The last tab within the Visual App Builder main menu is the menu tab, and this allows us to add menus. In the Retriever software commercial products, the warehouse application, shipping, receiving, etc., we typically have a navigator menu that allows us to bring up particular windows, allows a user to select windows and basically place them on the top of the screen so they become visible for the user to work with. And once you define a menu, and this menu name will show up here in the menu bar at runtime, then you can start adding menu items to this menu. And those menu items can be text if they are something other than just a separator between menu items, then you'll want to associate a procedure with them. As we get more procedures in here, we'll go through a training lesson specifically on menus. Let's go under the Visual App Builder menus and go through some of the items there. Open will allow you to open an existing Visual App Builder project. The print functions are not really functional at this point. In future enhancement for Visual App Builder will allow you to print functional specifications for your application based on text descriptions that you've put in for files and fields within files and procedures, etc. The edit allows you to do copying and pasting of objects from one procedure to another. So if you need to copy objects from one procedure to another, you're able to do that. You're also able to delete any unused objects from within a particular procedure. You're able to move objects from one procedure to another if you decide to restructure your procedures to make your application more modular. And you're able to, the most commonly used feature under edit will be your create new procedure. Once you do create a procedure and you have several objects in it, you can use the delete unused functions to delete any procedures that are not used in your project. The view menu allows you to either view or not view the main toolbar and the status bar, which is at the bottom of the screen. Your tools menu allows you to run the Pocket PC setup, which will install your application on the Pocket PC itself. It will also allow you, for the simulator purposes, to define runtime parameters. In here you can pass in information into your application to have it behave in different ways. Perhaps you might want to have your program behave either as a batch application or a wireless application, depending upon an argument that gets passed in here. And again, we'll go into this in the more advanced features in later training lessons. The simulator actually brings up a virtual Pocket PC or PC application or DOS application, so that you can see exactly how your application will run on the actual hardware itself. So this does give you the capability of developing applications without having any actual hardware devices to run that on. The build hex and send hex apply to the DOS handheld devices. And again, we'll get into that in a later training lessons that's specific to those types of devices. The import data allows you to import data from existing SQL databases. Any database that's accessible through an ODBC driver will allow you to, Visual App Builder will be able to import the database schema that you select, or those portions of the schema that you select, directly into the project, so that you can do a variety of SQL interaction with the database, either through a batch connection, through a serial connection, or through a wireless connection to the COM manager process that is a peer component with the Visual App Builder, provides a ODBC driver capability to those devices that are running Visual App Builder applications. And again, that is in a advanced training lesson as well. That's all we'll cover in here for the time being. There's also a training lesson on debugging. We'll go into the capabilities of Visual App Builder to step through your project one object at a time and to examine the value of any variable or file field at any point that you stop at within your project. There's also extensive online help that's really a reference type of material for each one of the objects, and each one of the objects has a help button within the object editor screen, within the object methods tab, so that you can get reference material as you're working on your project. And that's it for the overview of Visual App Builder. We recommend that you watch the rest of the training lessons to get more specific information. We will build an entire application as we go through each one of these training lessons, so that by the time that you get through those, you should have a very thorough understanding of how to create a standalone application and how to load that onto your devices and operate it with the COM Manager ODBC driver server.